I have a theory.
Uh-oh.
We've had multiple quarterbacks on New York teams get hurt already, correct?
That is correct.
We've had Aaron Rodgers go down with the Achilles. We've had Daniel Jones go down with an ACL. We've had Tyrod Taylor go out. It was all set up for Tommy DeVito to take the mantle as the rightful king of New York.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Coconut Curry Podcast, a podcast we're officially almost done with our 7th semester of college. If you're new around here, we are 3 college students at the University of Pittsburgh, just chatting about sports and hopefully offering some fresh new perspectives. Please like, comment, subscribe. We typically cover each game of the NFL, especially this time of year. We talk about sports as a whole, but we're a little bit later today because finals kind of got in the way of our recording schedule. So we're going to cover some big topics today.
Like Easton Stick.
No.
Easton Stick, just as a side note, is the worst name I could imagine.
Isn't that like
For anybody that doesn't know, we were talking about the Chargers backup quarterback. Easton Stick is in fact a brand of hockey stick.
Yup.
So Easton,
have we got an interview with his parents yet?
Bat.
It's also a baseball bat. Yeah. Like interviewing his parents.
Just like, why did you name your kid Easton Stick?
Yeah. Why did you name your kid? Also, first of all, whose last name is Stick?
Yeah. But you can only do so much about your last name.
Have we seen if he has parents yet? Is he an AI generated character?
Oh my gosh. They were at SoFi the other day.
They were.
Oh gosh.
It's the AI. It's taking our jobs.
Rats.
His parents refused to reveal why they named him Easton Stick.
Oh, shot. That's a real article. That's on USA Today.
No.
Oh, my
Oh
God.
no.
Oh, God. Anyway,
so we cover some big topics in sports, and we're going to start off today with the hottest subject in the sports world, which is an NBA topic for once.
There we go.
Draymond Green is officially suspended indefinitely for his role in hitting Jusuf Turkic's face during the Warriors' 116-119 loss to the Suns. This happened on December 12th. I just want to know, from your perspective, was this too harsh of a punishment for Draymond Green?
I think he's had it coming for a long time now. He's gotten minor punishments in the past, but after how many years has he been in the league?
A long time.
This has got to be, 2015 with Steph, he was there, so he's probably like 2014.
I thought Pat Bev was the aggressive unk. Nah, that's Draymond.
Well, Pat Bev is the aggressive unk that actually comes to family events. Draymond is the uncle that gets locked up that only is there every once in a while because he's in jail.
Yeah, Dre's the unk that sits in the corner of the family gatherings. Just, no one wants to talk to him. He's just there because he was forced to go.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is I know that sometimes people say oh, well, you should take the event at face value. You shouldn't take into account anything else that's happened, whatever. But this is the 10th time that Draymond has done something really stupid. This is the second time this year.
Okay, so I think, let me try to get this correct. I think in the last 14 months, he has stomped on Sabonis' chest, and he got a 1-game suspension for that.
Yep.
And he probably deserved more, but it was a playoff series,
so
and
they
weren't already multiple games in, so they weren't going to just cost the entire series. He put Rudy Gobert in a chokehold.
An actual full-on chokehold over something that didn't really...
Well, it did not concern him. Yeah,
because Rudy Gobert wasn't the one involved.
He wasn't involved. It was a situation between Jalen McDaniels and Klay Thompson. Rudy kind of got him to separate. Then Draymond comes flying across the court.
And just throws him in a chokehold.
He gets
out
5
of nowhere.
games for it. He's already missed 5 games this season for an unnecessary act. Then he had the Jordan Poole punching incident, which you could argue is not related to NBA games, but we all saw the footage of Jordan Poole trash-talking Draymond Green.
And then
he does a jumping punch.
He does a Superman punch.
As if it's not like Jordan Poole squared up and they started fist fighting.
It was just he was talking, and then he just throws a haymaker.
Yes.
What?
For no reason.
What do you do? And then now there's this where I think apparently he said oh, well, he was tugging on my jersey and I was just trying to get him off. In what world?
First of all, number one, Jusuf Turkic is not a good defender.
No.
So at all to be he's just getting really unphysical, I'm just trying to get around him is ludicrous. Jusuf Turkic is not good. I mean, Draymond Green's not a good offensive player or shot maker, creator. Yeah. But Jusuf Turkic is not a good defender. Number 2, that was reasonable post defense. Post defense is inherently they always like guys banging on you, like
yeah.
like
Classic
elbows,
Charles
like,
Barkley.
you can, like squeeze a lot more elbows in there. You
Yeah.
see people all the time kind of get like whipped around with a flying elbow
like,
because of that.
If you pull it up, like he's literally just has like his hand on Draymond's hip.
He is playing post defense.
Like, dude, it's basketball. Like, and you're in the NBA. Like, yeah, sorry, someone's gonna like just is not even like not in the way of like, oh, they're gonna put their hands on you, like they're gonna fight you, like literally placing their hand on you to make sure that they are a good distance away from you and that you can't get away too much. Like, not even grabbing the jersey, just literally hand on his side.
Yeah,
and he just turns around and just throws like a haymaker from hell. Like,
and he whips around and he says in the press conference that he's trying to sell the foul by flying his arm out, which I do believe that he wanted to sell the foul. But I do also believe that he was like,
I can sell the foul.
I can
hit
sell
this guy in the face.
Like, well, I don't think he consciously thought that. I think the problem is he has like, and I'm not like putting I'm not de-emphasizing the role of mental health. I think he has a condition that he cannot control his anger and his impulses.
Yeah, I legitimately think at this point he just like it's very obvious he just has anger issues.
Yes.
And like it not even in the sense of like, oh, like this is like serious.
Yeah,
it's getting really serious at this point. Like,
I think a big portion of the media is trying to be like, guys, Draymond Green has anger issues. Like, oh my gosh, haha, he can't control himself. Like, I'm
no, this is
being very serious. Like, he probably needs to seek some type of help to control his impulses that are causing him to commit fouls that just otherwise don't make. Like, again, the Rudy Gobert thing I think makes it all the worse because he flew across the court to put someone in a chokehold that was unnecessary. Like,
because he was like breaking up the fight. Like, he was
Yes.
just trying to get in the middle of it.
And the Jordan Poole incident. These two incidents specifically, like the Domantas Sabonis thing, it was in the act. Sabonis was like pushing him around too. It was definitely a little bit extra, but also like he was put in like a kind of an awkward position above him. I think the stomp was unnecessary. Even this play, he's flinging his arms out. You could make the argument, but you have with suspensions, you have to consider the past behavior.
Exactly, you have to.
Because I've seen evidence of him getting involved twice with physical violence in completely unnecessary ways. There's nothing that I believe. Like, why would I not believe?
Why would you give him the benefit of the doubt in this case?
Exactly. Why am I giving Draymond Green the benefit of the doubt that he didn't kind of mean to completely clock Jusuf Nurkic in the face with the back of his hand?
Yeah.
Like, and he wasn't even paying attention because Jusuf Nurkic, it wasn't like he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to bump him. I got to be a little bit on.
He was looking at the ball.
He was like,
yeah. he was looking at the ball, like trying to see like where he was going, just like had his hand on his hip, whatever. And then just gets a flying back fist to the face.
And the best part of it all is Jusuf Nurkic's quote at the podium where he just goes, I don't know, that brother needs help.
And because I think at that point he's like, part of it obviously is like, you know, he's trying to like chirp Draymond, but part of me is like he's probably being serious.
No, he is. I think
because where he's
serious.
like that's not like this isn't normal behavior.
Like he could have easily suffered an orbital fracture.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That could have caused big damage. He could have suffered a concussion if it was a little bit up higher.
He could have not. He easily, like, with how big Draymond Green is, throwing one of those, I don't care who you are, you could just get knocked out.
Think about it. If Jusuf Nurkic is a little different angle, you might hit him on the back of the head, right by cerebellum.
Wrap around back in the back,
like, which is not where
hit him on the temple too. Like,
there's like a very numerous number of the ways that this situation ends up way worse for Jusuf Nurkic, and I think he's just stunned. He's like, I've never seen anything where somebody is so out of control.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. Like, they need to take into account that, like, with Draymond's past history, like, he needs to take a step away from basketball, like, and legitimately think about this, because you can't, as a league, you can't have one of your best players be, like, with Steph Curry, be next to this, like, guy who's just, like, for some reason, just beating the crap out of people. It seems like for no reason. Like, you can't have that be associated A, with your league, B, with one of your best players.
Yeah, and I like that point a lot, because Steph Curry is going to go down as a top 10 player of all time, likely higher, and his end of his years.
It's just going to be this weird,
is tarnished a little bit by. There's a lot of other situations going on with the Warriors right now, which is a topic for another day in their play. Yeah. But at the core right now is, we're talking about the Warriors in context, not of Steph Curry having another great year and being a top 10 player of all time, like we are with the Lakers.
Yep.
We are talking about Draymond Green getting suspended indefinitely while Steph Curry is still in his prime, taking names on the basketball court.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the biggest shame of it all.
It really is.
The Warriors played 23 games this season. Draymond Green has been kicked out of 2, suspended for 5, and he's going to suffer a lot more. So he's missed over a quarter of his team's games because he's been kicked out of them or suspended, and he's going to miss a larger portion.
Yeah.
And that's just not what you want to see on the court. And he also, this offseason, signed a 4-year, $100 million contract extension.
Jesus.
And so this is the first year that he's 3 more years, and the last year's a player option. And I don't think Draymond Green in 3 more years is getting $20 million. So he's going to be a Warrior for 3 more years.
Is there a way that you can avoid that if he's suspended?
I don't,
because he's not suspended from the team.
So I think if he's suspended for a larger period of time, they get cap relief. In
okay.
But for the year, so it would almost be.
So they still pay him, but then it doesn't hit. Against
so
the cap.
some cap nerd probably know, but I don't think Joe Lacob, who's the president for the owner of is it Joe Lacob? I think Joe Lacob owns the Warriors. He will not have to pay Draymond Green's contract.
Yeah.
But it might still go against their cap, so they're not able to build. They're not able to get another guy on,
Mm-hmm.
and this 100% means the Warriors are never going to be able to trade him.
No,
he has no trade because I don't think anybody thinks bringing Draymond Green into their locker room
is really going to help. Yeah,
like some people thought putting him on the Pistons this year, which we'll talk about in a little
Jesus
bit,
Christ.
would have been beneficial to help motivate the young guys. Whatever. The Pistons are thrilled right now. Imagine Draymond Green with that horrible team.
They probably wouldn't win a game.
No, they wouldn't win a game, and it would be extremely toxic. Like he'd be throwing punches at teammates.
He would have. Yeah, he would have already. I think probably by week 3, he would have knocked out a teammate, bare minimum, straight up.
Mm-hmm. He's one of the best players in the league on his team, and he's acting a fool every game.
Yep,
and it's a shame.
It really is.
So I'm hoping some time off gives him help. I was a little bit hoping that the league would put a minimum on the amount of games because this kind of situation that happened with Ja, where he got a bunch of games and he might have gotten suspended for a certain number of games, but they were like, he's going to go through this program to get help before he returns. And pretty much once they confirmed that he was seeing somebody and all that kind of stuff, he was good to go back on the court. And so I don't want this situation to be like Draymond Green sees someone for a little bit, 5 games later,
back on the court
and gets back on the court. Like I wish they would have come down with a little bit more of a 10 games minimum, but it's indefinite upon these set standards.
Yeah.
And so it's a news story that you do not want to see because it's really bad for the league.
It really is.
But also really good for the NBA in a time where the NFL is kind of taking over. It takes over
headlines. Yeah, it really does dominate headlines because the NFL has recently been absolutely dominating all national headlines and news sources. But this, in a kind of an ass backwards kind of way, is good for the league because it puts out more publicity.
And we're going to cover a couple more topics. Like these topics right now are really saving the NBA.
I love the NBA script.
It's
a comedy show. I said this.
It's coming through, and it's actually really great for someone who loves the NBA as much as I do. That we have these little nuggets in 25 games in the season right before the holidays, which is when people start to watch
Switch
more
over,
basketball.
yeah.
So, Raj, any final word on the Draymond Green situation?
Nah, he'll figure it out. Probably not. I still fully believe the NBA is scripted.
I can promise you, I hope they have him return on a competitive game. Like if we branch out to the Warriors schedule real quick.
Oh my God, Dre triple-double. Hammer it.
So, okay. They just played the Suns the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Let's just say he comes back after 15 or 16 games off, and they're at the Bucks.
Oh, could you imagine?
8 p.m., which is a national TV game.
Dre nails the game winner.
I want to see him come back on a relevant standing because he could come back against the Pistons in 12 weeks. I don't want to see that. Raptors, no. Pelicans would be cool, but at the Bucks to come back from a 15-game suspension.
Glass shatters.
I can promise.
Oh my God, it's Draymond Green.
I can promise you that his last name's Griffin. Adrian Griffin, head coach for the Bucks, is going to be like Brooke Lopez. Giannis.
Kill him.
Anything to do to get under his skin. If you suffer a wound, if you hurt, or if he calls you back, it's fine. I'll take responsibility for it, but get under his skin because I feel like I could just see him coming back from 15 games and just kicking someone in the nuts and just getting suspended for the rest of Adam Silver's dog.
Keep Steven Adams as far away from Draymond Green as possible.
Dre not even gonna use fists. He's gonna just pull out a knife and say that again.
No, it's gonna be like during a timeout. He's just gonna walk up to the other team and just knock some random bench player out. It's just gonna be like, dude, what the hell?
What was that for? I didn't like the way he looked.
Yeah.
I would strongly recommend Draymond Green sit the next game versus the Suns.
Oh my god, dude. Oh god,
this now adds for a bad reason adds a
Yes.
funny layer onto the NBA where
Exactly.
people are going to be wondering when Draymond Green's next game is, wondering when the next outlash is. Also the other situation I didn't mention was last season he got too many technical fouls, so then he got suspended for a playoff game.
Yeah.
Because he accumulated too many technical fouls, which again is just another level of he can't control himself.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Moving on to another weird situation in the NBA. Last night, that being Wednesday night, Giannis played the Pacers and dropped 64 points, which is
Awesome.
an awesome night. It's the Pacers and the Bucks have had the two highest overs ever set in NBA history, and it's happened both. The first time they played, it was the highest over ever set, and then the second time they played, it was even higher because both teams are not playing good defense right now, both have really good offenses. Anyway, so Giannis got 64 points. But then there was a controversy with the game ball, which you don't hear often. The game
I've
ball,
never heard of
game
this in my
ball
life.
gate
Yeah.
never
Never
has
heard of it,
come up
yeah.
to me. But so how it goes down is after the game, Giannis is kind of looking around for the ball, whatever. He can't find the game ball. And he's beefing on the court, messing around with coaches and players. He's screaming at Tyrese Halliburton, everything. Eventually, he just takes a beeline, a straight sprint back to the Pacers locker room to look for this ball. And then all this fighting happened in the hallway before the Pacers locker room. The GM of the Pacers was apparently there. He took an elbow apparently from a player.
Well, also, why was the GM on the court?
He was in the
locker room. Okay,
but this is Rick Carlisle had a press conference and he mentioned that his GM got elbowed. I was like, why was the GM there? Why was he in a group of players who were beefing about the game? Stay out of it.
Yeah, you're the GM.
It's not like he went down to the locker room to congratulate the Pacers. They lost.
Yeah.
They didn't win a championship or anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he was doing there to begin with.
I don't know.
But anyway, so then the press conference is where it gets great. So there's all this drama about the game ball, whatever. Giannis eventually gets a game ball, by the way.
Oh, he got
Okay.
he got it.
No.
All right.
He got a ball. We'll get into that.
Oh,
So
no.
Giannis goes into this press conference and we'll start with there. Rick Carlisle said in his thing that they were giving the game ball to rookie Oscar Tshiebwe. His first NBA points ever scored in a game.
Tough.
Now, there is another aspect to this. He did score points in the in-season tournament final, but it's not counted as a regular season basketball game. So while he did score in an NBA game before, it didn't count
towards his regular
season. So it's his stats don't count. So this is another dynamic onto the
Oh,
part. So
okay.
Rick Carlisle says we wanted the game ball for Oscar Tshiebwe, which first of all, it's great that he's getting this press attention because
no one knows who he is.
yeah. And then so Giannis goes to the press conference and someone's asking him about it. He indicates that he didn't really care about getting the game ball after all the antics he did, because he actually really wanted to give it to Dame, who passed Kyle Korver for 5th all time on the 3-point made list.
I mean, that's valid, but
So
what is happening?
So
bro?
then someone says, so did you get the game ball? He goes, I got a ball, but it doesn't feel like the game ball. He's like, usually I played with 35 minutes tonight. I can feel the ball. And this is not this. I don't think this ball is the game ball. So he thinks that
they gave him a fake
gave
one.
him a fake ball, probably an alternate ball that wasn't used for the game. And they kept the one for Oscar.
What is happening?
I'm telling you, the NBA is a scripted comedy. You can't make this stuff up.
So
Look.
what is their take on the situation?
Okay, so
I don't have a take. It's all scripted. It's like watching a comedy show on ABC.
okay, look. If I am going to prioritize giving somebody the game ball, I'm gonna go with Dame, because 5th all time for threes is a historic moment for the league, versus for the rookie, that's a him personal thing. But I also see the argument for giving the rookie the ball.
I just looked up what Dame passed him on because I was pretty sure it was fifth, but I was like, crap, if it's not fifth, I'm gonna look like a fool. But
Yeah.
no, it's fifth.
Okay, it's fifth overall. Yeah, like that's really, really big. But why wasn't there? Like, why did the players just take? Doesn't the league handle that kind of stuff? Where like they keep all the balls like after, and like if some historic moment happens, like
Yeah. So
they
I know
deal with this.
I know somebody knows more so what like the protocol is for situations.
Because like this happens in the NFL too, where it's like, oh, this is a player's first touchdown, or like, oh, this, and obviously it's easier in the NFL because there's like a ton of footballs that get used throughout a game, so it's a lot easier to do versus like there's one game ball for basketball.
Yeah.
There are alternates that they can use in a case of an emergency, but like it's one ball.
Yep.
But like, why are we doing just like a pickup rules where it's like whoever has the ball last just keeps it and just runs away with it?
And so I mean, I think some added context. This game was in Indiana, I believe, and I think that adds a little bit to it. But I just can't. I think this falls badly on Giannis. I really like Giannis. I think he's really good for the league. He doesn't have many controversies, but
it's
in
just
this
like
case,
weird.
I think it looks bad on him just because. If you're Giannis, you should have the confidence that this is not the highest game you'll ever score. Sure, he broke the franchise record and everything for this game. But if I'm Giannis, I would say, when I play the Pacers again,
I'm going to drop 70.
I'm going to drop 70 at home and take the game ball.
Yeah.
And I'll do that. And like that'll be my new career high.
Yeah.
That's number one. And number two, like the running after the game antics. But I also want to say for the Pacers organization, if they really didn't give Giannis the game ball, to give it to Oscar Chibwe after he already scored points during the in-season final, like, come on. Like
it's not a technicality. Like, come on.
I know rookies don't always get the game ball for scoring their first NBA points because there are many games where there's two rookies playing who score their first points.
Yeah.
If you go into like almost any single like
any young team.
Any young team, Tyrese Maxey and another guy get drafted and they both score points during their game.
Yeah.
And I think anyone gets it. I agree that it's Dame. But then I'm confused why Giannis is acting a fool because Dame then would care more. But it doesn't seem like Dame cared that much.
Yeah, well, because Dame's not that kind of guy to really care that much about like this kind of thing.
But then Giannis said that he didn't care about the ball for his own personal.
So if nobody cared,
but then he indicated that he would have loved to give it to his mom.
Wait, what?
Here we get. This is just getting way too complicated.
That's why I'm like. This is why I'm like saying like. A little bit disappointed with how Giannis reacted because
definitely.
I think he's a little all over the place.
He can't get his story straight.
Yeah.
It's like,
you either
what is it?
You either wanted the ball because you scored your career high.
Yeah.
And 64 is very significant. It's not like you scored 20 points your career high. 64 is going to put you top 20 like highest scoring games of all time.
Yeah.
And so you can get respect for that, but his story is not straight. And the way this became a whole entire like game ball gate is what I'm dubbing it.
Yeah.
Like it's just is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even. I'm so confused.
I have no opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know who to believe.
I'm so confused by this whole situation. I mean, I feel like there should just be, you know what, going forward, let's have more of a protocol for the game ball. Let's just try to have like an intermediate third party, like, I don't know, a ref or somebody hold on to the game ball after the game.
I would say going forward, maybe this is something where the league goes, everyone, like,
we discuss
at the end of the game, if you think that's significant, because again, of course, something probably happened when Dame passed Kyle Korver on the list. They played a video, I think, in the stadium.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering if it was at Milwaukee.
No, it was in Indiana.
No, this game was at Milwaukee.
Are you sure?
Pretty confident, yeah. Yeah, it was in Milwaukee, yeah.
Oh, wait, what? Wait, so the Pacers... Okay, wait, back up. No, that changes things now.
Yeah,
I thought this was in Indiana.
I thought this was in Indiana, too.
Okay, back up. Hang on. Back up.
So
the Pacers just took the ball. Like, oh my God.
I still don't think that gives Giannis the right
No.
to act like that. But
for the love of God, send an equipment manager in there.
This is where, like, I don't so they played a video when Dame passed Kyle Korver congratulating Dame on the big screen.
Yeah.
So everybody in the stadium knew that
that's his ball. Like,
everyone also knew that Giannis had not only scored 64 points, which was his career high, but also passed their old franchise leader who had 57 points.
Yeah.
And then they also probably knew that Oscar Chibwe had scored his first points as a rookie, because I'm sure the bench was going crazy.
Yeah.
So how, after the game, the ball, like, one referee didn't say, give me the ball and we'll figure out what we're doing with it.
Yeah.
Like, how that wasn't a possible logical outcome to the point where the Pacers bench just ran off with it.
Also, don't the refs take the ball at the end anyway? Like, where else would it go?
Like, I bet I gotta see the end of the game, but like, did someone dribble, like, the ball dribbled off and they were like,
They just run with
Buddy
it?
Hield, here, take the ball, run to the locker room.
Like, I feel like I've seen players at the end of games, like, literally give the ball to the ref.
Yeah, they do.
So, like, why didn't the refs say anything?
I wonder if, like, Rick Carlisle got it from the refs. Was like, hey, this is the rookie's first points. Can we have the ball?
But, like, if you're a ref in the stadium, you're not just going to be like, oh, yeah, sure. After you just watched literally, like, a dude pass somebody for 5th all time and threes and go, yeah, this kid that actually has scored points before, but technically these are his first points. Yeah, give him the ball. Like, yeah, we got some
tape
real
breakdown over here.
Yeah, we got some real deep analysis here.
So the ref got the ball at the end.
And then who goes up and takes?
And then the coach goes, and then the coach of the Bucks goes, or whoever that is.
Yeah, it's probably Rick Carlisle.
Yeah, he goes up to the ref.
Yeah, so, but
how did it get out of his hands?
Yeah, these refs got to be like,
oh my
fine
god,
and like that just can't happen.
That's insane. Whatever.
Did they not pay attention at all?
Whatever.
You knew exactly what was happening.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, January 1st on New Year Day at 8 p.m. Bucks versus Pacers.
Oh,
dude,
God.
I would
in Milwaukee.
I would pray to all that's holy that this just starts up a rivalry just because of this. Because they're both like pretty solid. I mean, obviously the Bucks are really good. The Pacers are a pretty solid team too. So like if they just like started going at it because
that game's only on League Pass too, so I will be tuning in. They need to flex that game, whatever.
They got to flex that to prime time.
Yeah,
because that's going to be interesting. People are going to be pissed.
And so this is going to tie into our next topic, the in-season tournament.
Yes.
And the reason I wanted to bring it up is because specifically this whole situation does not happen without the in-season tournament.
Yes.
Because the Pacers beat the Bucks
yes.
before the in-season tournament started.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the semifinals, the Pacers just outright beat the Bucks in a single elimination game to advance to the finals. This game was chippy from the beginning, the Pacers game. Giannis got a flagrant one in the first quarter for elbowing bumping Tyrese when it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
This in-season tournament has made so many more small storylines.
Yep.
That's great. Pacers, Bucks. Pacers are like a meddling franchise over the years.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason they would have a rivalry with the Bucks besides from being a Midwest in the same division team. And now all of a sudden, the NBA gets this little storyline about them because of the in-season tournament.
Mm-hmm.
The next time the Pacers and the Lakers play, it's going to be like, oh, this is a rematch of the in-season tournament finals.
Yep.
The Pelicans and Lakers, the next storyline is going to be, especially if it goes in the playoffs. Remember that time the Lakers swamped New Orleans in the semifinal, won by 40 points in the in-season tournament, and LeBron James was
the best player on the court.
Yep. And Zion got called like he likes to eat the table.
Oh,
remember that game?
Yeah.
It's going to add these storylines. So I think the in-season tournament as a whole has been so positive for the NBA, and I wanted your thoughts on this.
They just need to change the courts. Some of those courts are really good.
Some of them they're dreadful.
Are terrible. Yeah.
I'm so out on the courts, and I think maybe Adam Silver's really smart. I was going to talk about that a little bit, but I'll get Roger's thought first. But Adam Silver's really smart. I bet he knew those courts would get so much attention.
Media attention because they're bad. Yeah.
And they're like really bold. And I think next year you'll start seeing some really unique designs come in because the in-season tournament's already like it's marketing.
Pretty success.
It's marketing itself because people are blinded watching the game.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I do think as a whole it was good. This is the first time in a while I've seen this take on the internet a decent amount, but it's like the first time in a while that we've seen LeBron care about basketball in December, and it's like really cool to see that because like I mean he's still literally like a top 5 player in the league at 39, which is unreal, and seeing that like magic on the court in December is unheard of, and I just think it's like it's a really good way to get players invested. Like 500,000. Like obviously for these top tier players isn't like the craziest thing in the world, but like think about for like the bench players that like they don't make a ton.
So the story came out, Lakers have two-way guys, and LeBron went to them before the game and said, I'm gonna win this $500,000 for you guys.
Yeah, because like that's huge for those guys.
So it's pretty much I think a minimum salary in the NBA is like a little so they're obviously these players on two ways are not poor by any means.
Yeah.
But they are still people who are grinding their ass off to try to get an opportunity. And LeBron just won them a $500,000 check.
Like
that's enough
practically doubling their salary.
That's enough to retire their parents.
Yeah.
To set up like like a little bit more. I wouldn't call it generational wealth, but some generational money for their children in
Exactly.
the future.
Yeah.
If they're living in a place like Los Angeles, just to live a little bit nicer while they're on the grind.
And like with that, like just like cash in hand, like that could be life changing money. And
100%.
like that, I really think it's been a really good, like it's been a success. I think it's been a really good, like they've done a really good job with it.
And I think it's like good because it's like, we're in that area where the NFL is kind of like,
Taking
reaching
over
the playoffs.
Yeah.
So the NBA needed to do something to, get more attention. And, with some of the NFL games, people were like, hey, I don't want to watch Easton Stick versus AOC play each other.
That's a really good point.
So like they'll probably tune into the NBA more now. So like, it's great marketing by the NBA. They know people would hate the courts too.
I still don't know what to make of the timing of it. I think the in-season tournament's still at an awkward time. It's like
if the finals were happening like now, I think
feel
it would
like
be better.
I feel like a little bit of a shift would have been better. I'd agree with that. Or I know it would be close, but with Christmas and everything, the problem is they don't want to cloud their Christmas market.
Yeah, because they have the games. Yeah,
I do get it, but it does add a ton of excitement. By the way, the two-way contract is about $550,000.
So they basically doubling their contracts.
Yeah, they're getting twice. They're getting paid $1 million for the year.
Yeah, which is insane.
Which is awesome for them. And I think it worked out really well. I think there's some things they could tinker. The courts, I think they should change them, but I don't really think that's affecting.
No, it's
the
not
game.
really that big of a deal.
I think they can make a little bit more adjustments, make it a little bit more clear about when the in-season tournament games are,
and like what it means. Like really try to like push of like this is what's happening.
Yeah, I think the single elimination is fascinating. You have to see LeBron James.
Like that, yeah.
Like some of the argument has been like what makes March Madness so fun is it's win or go home. You can see some upsets, right? We've never seen LeBron James play a college game. Yeah. And sometimes when you evaluate who's the best player ever, you go to the argument, if you could only pick one player for one game, who do you pick? And LeBron James at 39 years old, almost 39, just went out there and said that's why I'm the best player of all time, because I dropped 40 on Zion's fat ass in the semifinal.
Yeah. I mean, like what is LeBron made out of? Like, is this dude made out of vibranium?
Carbon fiber.
Like, this dude is not real. Like, he legitimately has not, like, he's gotten to the Lakers, and it seems like he has been the exact same player since he's gotten to
the only problem he's had is he's gotten injured more, but he keeps coming back. It's not like
he's at the same caliber every time. It's like, how is this possible?
This is about the first time that we've seen a fully healthy LeBron James in a playoff setting, and he was the best player in the in-season tournament, and he won the MVP.
Yeah.
He pretty much told his players that they were going to win the in-season tournament for the money.
Yeah.
He went out there. He doesn't need the money. Yeah. They won it, and he just did exactly what he promised.
Yeah.
And a single elimination. It's absolutely like fascinating, and I think there's a lot of conversation if it adds to his legacy and his Michael Jordan hunt.
Michael Jordan fans will not let this add to his legacy. This is now, according to them, this in-season tournament is now Mickey Mouse. If the Pacers were to win it, they would love it.
Yep. I think he's already the GOAT. But I think at 38 years old, to go up against Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Tyrese Halliburton, they beat the Suns, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker in the first round. To go up against these guys in the playoffs at 38 years old in late November, and just clearly and unequivocally be the best player in the entire tournament
that's impressive.
Is like super impressive, and I think it just shows how long he's going to keep playing at this level for.
He could at least play another 2-3 years.
I watched that Pelicans game and was stunned at how much better he looked than everybody else. He was running down the court, playing engaged defense, barking at Anthony Davis on switch, like defensively. It was. And then he was watching LeBron James when he beat Boston in Game 6 all those years ago, just completely like sucked the air. The whole team played off of LeBron's energy. Yeah. LeBron single-handedly made the Pelicans quit because he was just so much better than all of them.
Yeah, because it's the combination of his game IQ being able to be backed up with his physicality, and the fact that he has legitimately gotten better at shooting throughout his career. Like at first he was like, he was like pretty solid, like whatever. But like you see him now, he'll pull up from 35 and just drain a three. It's like, dude, like if you see LeBron stop and do his stupid like pump fake thing where he looks down at the ground and then like does the whatever. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. You've seen it before. It's the dumbest move ever, but it works every time. If he drains one of those, you are losing that game. Yeah, like it does not, because if he's on, he is the best player on the court, and there's nothing you can do to stop him.
Agreed.
Yeah,
it was it was something. At one point, he ran a front, like he ran a, I forget what they call it, but pretty much the defenders posted up on him, and you just kind of come across the key by the free throw line and just kind of run in front of them. And I watched him run this, just get the ball and just like do a little fadeaway off the glass and sink it, and I was just like, it's over. Like this dude is like running hard off ball, and running down the court to dunk the ball. Like he's unstoppable.
Yeah, or when he gets like his mid range going, and it's like he's sinking him. It's like, oh, that's it. Like there's nothing you can do, because if you're gonna try to press him, he's gonna go right around to your dunk. If you just lean back, he's just gonna hit a shot. Like that's it.
And then the next day, he celebrated that night. Next day, flies out to go watch his son play basketball, his first college basketball game. LeBron is the best salesperson, spokesperson, advocate of the NBA, and it's really awesome to see.
Yeah.
And I know there's things that he's going to buy the Vegas team when he retires, and he's really involved in that process. If I was the NBA, I would say we will not expand until you own the team, because I can guarantee you that LeBron James owning a team is going to be extremely good for the league for years to come, just because Adam Silver said, I want this in-season tournament. Some people are going to think it's goofy. I think it's a great idea. He was so bought in on the tournament and what Adam Silver was doing, and said, I'm going to play hard.
I'm going to show what you can see in this in-season tournament.
He's made the in-season tournament because he's the best advocate for the NBA.
Yeah.
And he's doing that at 38 years old. You have all these other guys that are in the league, and people who are better than LeBron James, Giannis, Luka, Nikola Jokic, maybe even Steph Curry if you want to make the argument. Like these players who are probably better than LeBron on an in and out basis, who can't advocate and can't support the NBA in the way that he does. And he's been doing it since he entered the league in 2002.
Yeah. And I don't want to hear any Jordan fans being like, oh, stop beat writing him. I don't want to hear it.
Bronny had a chase down block.
He did.
Yeah, he
Looked
did.
like his pops.
Yeah, he did.
But I wanted to talk a little bit about the bad teams in the NBA. Because if people are not aware, the Pistons are currently on quite a historic losing streak. They've lost 21 straight games. They are 7 games away from setting the all-time losing record set by my Philadelphia 76ers when they went 10-72 during the 2014-2015 season.
There you go.
And so the Pistons are now currently sitting at 2-22, which means they started 2-1, and they've lost the last 21 games, and it doesn't look any better. They have the hardest strength of schedule remaining in the NBA based on the win percentages so far this year. But there's been a lot of talk about how bad the Pistons have been. People have forgotten that in the league right now, we have the 3-20 Wizards and also the 3-20 Spurs, who have lost 18 straight games. And the bottom tier of this league right now is so bad.
Like I didn't realize that the Spurs were 3-20 until you just told me.
Because I think the difference is with the Spurs, you have this Victor Wembanyama, this awesome talent, and you're just like, who cares what they are? Like Victor's cool. He's gonna win a Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Well, he's not. Chet's playing really well.
Chet's gonna win.
Yeah. But he's playing. He's in the race. He's playing really well. So people are just like, who cares? The Spurs are 3.
And the Wizards are just so irrelevant.
So irrelevant, but also they do goofy things. Like they don't play a lick of defense. So all the games are high scoring. So people don't care as much.
They're all high scoring, and also they're not on like a historic losing streak.
Yes.
So like they just won a random game every once in a while.
They win every 1 in 6 games, so it doesn't really look that bad.
Yeah, so it's just until you like actually look at what's happening and you're like, oh my god, they are 3-20.
Yeah, I think I can actually make a very fair argument the Pistons are better than the Wizards. But they're all so bad. But my theory on this, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it, is this shows why the NBA needs to expand. Because I can promise you these teams would not be this bad if they actually they wanted to. Because I think the talent level in the NBA is so high collectively that you have players on the Sixers, for example, who are now suddenly a deep team. Robert Covington, Nick Batum, Kelly Oubre
They're
Jr.
all just sitting on the bench.
They're all sitting on the bench. I promise you they would contribute to a winning environment on these teams.
Yeah.
But they don't want to play for them.
No.
So these teams are playing against other teams every single night who are just much better because the teams are so deep.
Yeah.
And I think they need to expand because you need to get some of these good bench players from other teams off to help even out like the bottom a little bit.
You got to be able to spread out the talent versus like concentrating in it like a few good teams.
Because you would think these teams, the issue is, well, these teams don't have enough talent. It would be really competitive. Mm-hmm. I don't think the problem is that they don't have enough talent. For example, the Pistons have drafted Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren. They have James Wiseman, who was a former number 1 overall pick. And they just drafted Asir Thompson this offseason.
Like they're just young.
Or Zama, I forget which one they drafted, but one of the Thompson twins. And they've got the talent, But
Yeah.
I just don't think these players are good enough, and they're playing teams night in and night out that have deep rosters. You look at a roster like the Memphis Grizzlies, who are currently at 6 wins because they don't have John Morant, but that team's extremely deep still.
Yeah.
With the players they have on. I think they're outmatched because what person goes, I'm going to go play for the tanking Detroit Pistons if you're a bench player. That offers you nothing. You want to be a Contavious Caldwell-Pope where you're a role player on a championship team
Exactly.
and people recognize you, not I play on the bench on a horrible team.
Yeah.
Like Jeremy Grant plays for a horrible team in Portland right now.
Mm-hmm.
What's that doing to his name around the NBA? Nothing. Like, sure, he's
Yeah.
making the bag right now, and people talk about it during the offseason, but no one's uttered Jeremy Grant's name since the season started.
And like that might be his last contract. For all we know, because then either he's not going to get good film because the team's terrible, and then it's like, all right, sure, you might make the bag now, but then that might be the last contract you ever get. Versus you might take a smaller contract with a big name team.
Bruce Brown's a great example. Bruce Brown popularity skyrocketed with the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Then he left for the Pacers this year.
Yeah.
But he got a big contract because he played his role really well on a championship team.
Exactly.
And that's where I think the league needs to expand because these bench players are wasting their time, but they're playing like there's just guys on the Sixers I know who can go play and make these teams better. There's people all across the league that can make these teams better, but
they need that. They need more of that high end talent spread across multiple teams, so that way it's a lot more incentivized to go to these teams because they'll be more competitive.
Yeah. So if you're watching this and you're like the Pistons are really bad, just take into account that the Spurs and Wizards are that bad, and I do think because the Pistons and Wizards I believe have to play 3 games against each other. I think the Wizards are going to end up have the worst record in the league.
All right,
because the Wizards, the only thing they have going for them, you can go for the Pistons, you can go Cade Cunningham's playing pretty well this year. You guys, I named the talent on the team. The Wizards have Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma. Those are the cookers on the team.
That's a nightmare blunt rotation.
That really
That's
is
bad.
And it's bearded Jordan Poole too, so he's not that good.
Yeah. So those are the bad teams, and then also bad team Carolina Panthers, which means we're going to talk about the NFL.
There we go.
It is time for the state of the NFL address.
State of the Union.
So as I mentioned earlier, we usually cover a lot of the games that have happened, but because we are recording on a Thursday, we are going to kind of cover the contenders and the controversies and our thoughts overall.
The general thoughts, because we've also been gone for a little bit now, and there's the NFL every single week. It's always, again, we say this every single week in our group chats, that the NFL smoking crack every single week. It's always insane, and then the next week it's even more insane than the last, and then it's more insane than the next week. It's so utterly chaotic that we kind of have to just look at what's going on with all of our teams, just like as a general.
I can't cover what happened 2 weeks ago when we didn't record, and then cover what happened this past weekend when we didn't record.
Just what are we at right now?
Yes, but first things first. We need to talk about the controversial flag in the Chiefs game.
Okay. Let's make something very clear. Kadarius Toney. Offsides.
Offsides.
Yes.
Period.
No question asked. It is a foul.
That is a foul. Strange that he was offsides multiple times before that, and they didn't throw the flag earlier. Strange. Does it really impact the play a lot? Not really. Not at all.
Especially because he didn't catch it initially.
Especially because he didn't catch it. Yeah. But is it the right call to make? Technically, yes. Absolutely. I have a very interesting take on this.
Okay, I'm ready.
Once per game, I think a rule of cool should apply. That no matter what happens, if something is really, really cool,
you pick the flag up.
You pick the flag up, or if it's like, oh, he might have been in bounds, he might have been out of bounds, but it was really cool if he was in bounds, let him have it. Not one per team, one per game. All right, whichever team does the coolest thing gets it.
Josh Jacobs is not playing tonight.
Is now or not playing?
Is not playing. This game is going to be terrible.
It's Chargers Raiders.
Yeah, that's in reference to the Chargers and Raiders game.
Good lord. But yeah, so that's
my god.
It is technically the correct call to make. It sucks that play doesn't exist because it was so cool. Yes. It was so cool.
If you haven't somehow seen this clip, Travis Kelce catches a 40-ish yard pass from Patrick Mahomes.
Running the
field. Then flips his hip like a quarterback and tosses a lateral across the field.
Like probably 20-yard pass on the money.
On the money to Kadarius Toney, who runs in for a touchdown. That would have iced the game.
Yeah. But then, no, it needs to come back because he was offsides. I mean, Agent Toney strikes again. This dude he loves taking down contenders, whether that's the Eagles or the Chiefs. This man destroys these teams.
My thought on this is I agree. He was offsides. I also think the refs needed to do a better job of evaluating the situation, because some people after the game, they had an analyst come in and say, "Hey, we've been actually calling this a lot recently, offensive offsides. We've cracked it down. It's been called 11 times this year, as opposed to the 3 and 2 of the previous years. 8 of those have been on illegal tush pushes.
Yeah, so that doesn't count.
They've called it
3 times,
twice this year,
or twice this year. Yeah,
2 or 3 times this year on people that aren't offensive linemen.
And also they've called it incorrectly about 6 out of those 8 times on the tush push, because they're like, oh, well, it's this person's hand, and it's not.
Yes,
it's not like whoever's hand.
So we have 5 or 6 actual offensive offsides
that were called,
and most of them on linemen.
Yeah,
and the league is trying to say we've actually been cracking down on this issue.
It's like, no, you haven't.
And then the other situation, of course, is like, did he check in? Was there a warning?
He kind of looked over at the ref, but I don't think he gave the ref enough time to say anything if he was going to. But again, if he was lined up offsides multiple times before that, why was the flag thrown or get a warning given earlier?
Yep.
Because if it's that, because it was equally as egregious those other times he was doing it, which is strange where the ref didn't go up to Andy Reid and be like, hey, your guys lining up offsides, I'm going to throw it next time. So then Andy Reid's like, hey, Tony, take a step back, you moron.
Yep.
Look at the ball and then just take a step back.
Yep.
That's it. That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
And then that would have stopped all of this.
Yeah.
Which is just really weird.
Yeah.
And then the ref's like, oh, well, if something's like that egregious, we don't have to give out a warning because it's that egregious. But it's strange that they didn't do that.
Yes, they didn't do it the whole game, and so
it's just weird.
So the refs, in my opinion, shouldn't have called it because there didn't appear to be warnings. But also, he was offside. So
he was offside.
Don't break the rules.
Yeah, he's an idiot. Whatever.
What I will say though, this has been frustrating me, is I think the Chiefs should have, after the game, said, we were shocked that it's called, that we didn't get warnings. That's a little bit obnoxious, but we move on. But this is the same Chiefs team that benefited from an extremely ticky-tacky call in the Super Bowl on James Bradbury when the Eagles were likely going to win that game if that play doesn't happen. He gives them a first down, they go on and score a touchdown. It wins them the game. So for a Chiefs team who benefited last year from a call that was controversial,
especially when Patrick Mahomes was the one pointing at it, and it was like, that's a hold.
Yes. And that's where I have the slight problem with this all, is open your mouth, sure, talk your game, but if it comes back at you, understand that last year the whole debate about the James Bradbury hold was all right, it was a hold by rule.
It was a ticky-tack call.
But did it affect the play? Did you really call that in the fourth quarter of a Super Bowl? And that was the dialogue we had last year about the James Bradbury hold.
Which is strange because there was it was that happened, and then they got the no call against them the last week, the pass interference call, and then Mahomes was like, we shouldn't have let it come down to that point. He said the correct thing, and then the next week the similar situation happens where it's it's just kind of a ticky-tack call, and then he loses his mind.
I think where he lost his mind is because, and I'll give Pat the benefit of the doubt here, I really like Patrick Mahomes. I often find myself rooting for the Chiefs because I like a lot of their players. I think Pat's great for the league. I like to see greatness and whatnot. But I think he reached his breaking point this past week where he's nobody actually thinks he's not the best quarterback in the league still, despite the year he's having. And his team leads leagues in drops. They're not scoring in the second half. And constantly they're losing games because of the final plays come down to missed plays with their receivers. Marcus Valdez-Scantling against the Eagles. KT in the first game against the Lions. They lose that game. This game, KT again. These aren't, things might have happened though that would have directed the outcome of the game. This is 3 games that would have the Chiefs
would just straight up
would be 11-2. This is not us saying, but what if, is a little bit bad example. What if Carson Wentz didn't get hurt? Well, they probably still win
it's not this crazy hypothetical.
It's not we need to go down a list of things.
It's if Marquez Valdez-Scantling catches that pass, they win that game.
Yes.
Period.
If Kadarius Toney catches the ball against the Lions, they win the game.
Yeah.
If it's the same thing with actually the Alshon Jeffrey drop pass in the Saints when the Eagles played him a bunch of years ago. They were driving
down the field. They were within field goal range.
They just would have straight up won the game, assuming that they didn't miss a kind of a chip shot field goal.
Exactly.
So the Chiefs should be 11-2, and I
Yeah.
think that's where Patrick Mahomes has been so frustrated.
I
And-
think this was less of because obviously he was pissed at the ref, but it's more of like he's just pissed.
And and the reason I think he's directing it on the refs is because
he can't do it to his teammates.
He can't do it to his
He
teammates.
can't do it.
Exactly.
Like and that also is like, I hate to be one of those guys. It's like, oh, this is the greatness from Mahomes, whatever.
Yeah.
But like that is actually
Okay,
like,
Collinsworth.
I know, yeah, I hate.
Oh, here's a guy.
Here's a guy.
And
Exactly.
what a pass by Mahomes out of bounds.
Yes, but like genuinely, like to have the self-restraint to not just tear Kadarius Toney clean off of his shoulders for being offsides when you are looking at the ball. Like,
Yep.
dude, what are you doing?
And in just a game that's close in the fourth quarter to not.
And it's a big game too against a Bills team who you can beat,
And
even after all the mistakes that happened during the game.
like the context of the game is so
Like-
high, right? The Chiefs come off a loss. The Bills need this game to stay alive. And
Yeah.
you're in the fourth quarter and you don't even do the extra second check. Let me make sure I'm on side beforehand. And I think, again, Patrick Mahomes, he could walk into that office and just say,
Get him out.
get him out, cut him. And they would.
Yeah.
They would.
Because again, Chiefs fans, I don't know what you were thinking about Kadarius Toney when you were like, dude, we fleeced the Giants. No, I'm telling you, he's an idiot. Like he
has
shows
the brain of a
he
shark.
shows flashes of being so good, and then he just does dumb.
Well, he looks
Like,
like a shark too.
He looks like a wizard tried to turn a shark into a person. I swear to God, look it up. Look at one of the pictures of him smiling. It is exactly what it is.
He looks scary.
He looks terrifying, but that's besides the point. Like, just Patrick Mahomes needs receiver, man. I hate to be that guy that, again, I hate glazing Mahomes.
He
I
has
do.
Travis Kelce,
But
he
mother
fine.
of God, give him another receiver.
He has MVS. He fine.
No, he's clearly not.
He has Rashid Rice.
Which
He
is funny,
fine.
which again is funny when we talked about earlier in the year,
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins being on the trade market.
Why were they not going for him?
We said, hey, he might not be the same receiver he used to be, but
like,
this could save their season.
they would be unstoppable if they had DeAndre
Yep.
Hopkins. They would genuinely be unstoppable. Like I
Good thing he went to the Titans.
honestly, good. It's probably good for the league that he
Yeah.
went to the Titans because they would be just stupidly good with how good that defense
Yeah.
is. Like, oh God,
So I just wanted to talk about that because that's like that's on the
that was
level.
insane.
That was a big topic. But now we're gonna run through some of the contenders and our overall thoughts about
Well,
their season.
what you guys need to do is talk about the damn Eagles first of all.
We'll get there. We'll get
Okay.
there.
The season's
I
over.
promise we'll get there. But we're gonna go through the AFC first.
Okay.
With the Ravens being number one, and in the past week they beat the Rams in overtime, and I think everybody has the same stance on the Eagles. I mean, not the Eagles,
Ravens.
the Ravens. They're a good team.
Yes,
They could make the Super Bowl,
they could.
but they consistently let teams back into games when they
Yeah.
shouldn't be there. They do not win a lot of convincing games.
Yeah, they're very similar to the Eagles in that way, where like
Yes.
they win
Besides the Lions and Seahawks games.
besides
which-
the Lions and Seahawks games where they did blow those teams out. But it's just like they win. I'm not trying to knock them at all, but it's just like it's never like because the Lions and Seahawks games, those were just like the Lions and Seahawks just literally just fell apart. It was like everything was going wrong. Like that's not really as convincing. And again, like the Lions game more so like, okay, well, they're a contender now, but they just completely fell apart. Like the Ravens had their number, they had them dialed, but I don't know what it is about this team that I just don't.
We talked about it a little bit before. I just think it's
Trust.
star power.
Because Lamar is amazing. Like he
Yes.
is so
And
like
he made a
he-
lot of big plays to win that
big
Rams game.
plays, big throws.
Yep.
Where I hate where people knock him for, he's just a running back.
and then Zay Flowers drops a nice, like crazy play
and
by
then,
Lamar.
then Zay Flowers does something amazing. It's like, yeah, that's what happens when you get Lamar a receiver. Or then it's like, he doesn't really throw the long ball that much. It's like, Brock Purdy doesn't throw a huge
Yeah.
long ball either, but they're still really good. Like,
Yeah, yard
it's,
after catch.
it's about executing the scheme you have and like playing to your strengths, whatever. But their defense is also like solid as a team, but they don't really have like a game wrecker on defense.
Yep.
Like, they don't have like a unit that I can point at.
They don't
That's-
have a Nick Bosa or
Yeah.
TJ Watt
because
who-
Roquan Smith is really good, but he's like
but
he's a good linebacker,
Yeah.
but he's not like a Fred Warner.
but also like linebackers, just their overall impact on the game is just not as high as a
because it's not
defensive
as
end.
much. It's not as a run heavy league.
Yes.
Yeah. So
So-
it's harder to have like those incredible run stopping linebackers when it's like, well, you need to be great in pass coverage. And then the
Kyle Hamilton's great, but he's a safety.
He's a safety, so you don't really hear much about him because, like, his entire point is just to be in an area to prevent a pass from going there, so you never hear from him. Like, because I think, did they get like Jason Pierre-Paul or something? I feel like
the Bucks got him. Oh, no.
He was on the Bucks. I think he went to the
I
Ravens.
think so.
I think old Seven Fingers is on that team. Yeah. But I mean,
it was these.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
He's got like kind of a nub here. But yeah. Anyway, Giants legend. But yeah, I don't know. Like, they're a really good team.
Yeah. But do you think they can win? That's the question.
I don't know. Like, because I'm looking at like the AFC, like these are all like solid teams, and like obviously the Ravens are the best, but like I don't think the Ravens would beat the 49ers. I don't think they would beat the Eagles or the Cowboys.
I don't think so either.
I don't either.
With how stacked the AFC was this year, with how those teams look and how they've just been, those three teams specifically have just been beating the piss. Well, 49ers beat the piss out of both of them, and the Eagles and Cowboys beat the piss out of both of each other.
Yeah.
But those three teams feel better to me. I don't know what it is.
I agree.
And it's just like, I think the Ravens obviously could go to the Super Bowl and win it.
Yeah. I don't think the question about the Ravens is if they could get to the Super Bowl.
But it's just like, I don't know if they will. I just don't know if they will.
Yeah.
It's just like weird. Because like there was the one year where they were the 1 seed too, and they got knocked out by Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
that's just like, I don't know.
I don't know. Like, we see this Ravens team not every season, but when Lamar's healthy, the team's good. But then playoffs, anything happens to them.
Yeah, I think it's like, say the Ravens. Actually, I won't say that's going to happen because that's probably unlikely. But let's say they get the bye, and in the second round, they're playing the winner of the Jaguars and the Browns. Are we going to be at all shocked
if the Browns win?
If either of those teams win?
No,
not really.
No,
like I mean, Browns, just because it's the AFC North rivalry, they could just beat the piss out of each other. But I mean, like, Jags, like, if Trevor Lawrence is on and like that defense with the other Josh Allen and like all the their very solid young players like starts balling out, like, I could see them beating the Ravens.
Yeah, and I don't think it would be. It's not a stretch.
No,
we saw like the Rams came in. And I think the Rams are a good team. I've been defending the Rams. Yeah, but the Ravens off a bye at home. The Rams took them to overtime
in horrible weather too, which is the Ravens' bread and butter.
And the Ravens had to rely on a punt return touchdown, which is
in overtime.
In overtime, and that's just
not a way you want to win.
That's
games.
not a
consistent way to win,
and especially when I see it come off of a bye week.
Yeah,
for you to play that way, is not the best. But move past the Ravens to the Dolphins.
How are the Dolphins the 2 seed? They're such frauds.
The AFC is just a bloodbath. You have the Chiefs following, the Jags they didn't lose Trevor Lawrence, but Jags following. I mean, the Dolphins, give it. And when they play some more over 500 teams, they'll get some more losses.
Are they going to play over 500 teams?
I think so.
Because
they have a horrible schedule. They play the Cowboys, the Ravens,
they're
the Bills.
Done. Yeah. Okay, they're screwed. Yeah, they're absolutely screwed.
Yeah. The Chiefs' path to the 2nd seed is still really good because, again, the Dolphins probably have 2 more losses on their schedule. Yeah.
But they play the Jets, so you never know with that.
No, yeah, I mean,
their defense is good. Yeah. Like, you never know.
Yeah, and I mean, if the Jets are riding maybe a little bit high, that line is 10.5, I think, for that game. But Jets are riding a little bit high. But anyway, I just think with the Dolphins,
they're frauds.
They could win a playoff game, maybe. But
beyond,
I just don't see the way they string together the 3 wins necessary to get out of the AFC, because their path to the 1 seed is really hard. They're not going to get the 1 seed. So their ability to win 3 consecutive playoff games to get to the Super Bowl and then win the Super Bowl, I think there's no path.
Because, I mean, at this point, I think both Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey have kind of cemented themselves who should be the front runners for MVP at this point, because it is so blatantly obvious that Tyreek Hill is the best player on that team and has been carrying this team. Because take him out of the equation, this team doesn't know what to do.
Yep.
And it's like, obviously your offense is going to center around your key players and everything like that. But like, they could not adjust.
Yep.
Like, it was really, really hard for them to adjust against a not that good Titans team. And they lost.
And that's where I think everyone believes, again, the Dolphins aren't legit, is let's go through the schedule real quick. They beat the Chargers by 2 in week 1. Take it out, week 1.
Yep.
But they get the credit for the win. Beat the Patriots. Cool. beat the brakes off the Broncos when they were on their
terrible,
1-5 stretch. Cool. Got destroyed by the Bills.
Yeah.
Beat the Giants. Destroyed the Giants. Destroyed the Panthers. Lost to the Eagles. Beat the Patriots. Lost to the Chiefs. Barely beat the Raiders. Destroyed the Jets. Destroyed the Commanders. Lost to the Titans. Like, what do you see here?
There's just
losses to good teams, beating the brakes off of bad teams,
and then random losses to bad teams.
Now, recently, a loss to the Titans, which is a at-home must-win spot. Like, it's hard to say must-win, but must-win. They have the same record as the Ravens if they win this game.
Yeah,
they're tied.
They're fighting for the one seed. Yeah,
and they play the Ravens at the end of the year. So if you're that team, if you're that good of a team, and you have them up on your schedule, you could just say,
was supposed to be a gimme win.
Yep, and now they're playing after this Jets game this upcoming weekend. They're playing the Cowboys, Ravens, and Bills. I am here saying they are going to lose all three of those games.
I can see that. That's crazy. Yeah,
they're going to lose all three of those games, and they're going to be a potential wild card seed because I think.
Are the Bills taking the division?
I think the Bills are going to win the division.
Bills win out, yeah.
Damn, with how the Bills started, the fact that they have a legit shot at winning this division is crazy.
Because the Bills have a 7-6 record. I think the Dolphins are losing the next three. They'll be 7. I think the Bills can get only one loss out, and they'll have the tiebreaker if they beat them in the last week of the year.
Yep.
Yeah. This season's been an ultra bloodbath on both sides, honestly.
Yeah, and so I think for the reasons the AFC is a much stronger conference right now.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of injuries that have surely played away to it.
Year,
The NFC though is a bloodbath because they're bad.
Everyone's 6 and 7.
There are 3 good teams.
Incredibly top heavy.
I wouldn't even consider I would say the top 3 teams are great football teams all around. Eagles a little bit. We'll talk about them, but not playing as well recently. But then I would if you start the Lions, I would say they're above average football team. That's as far as I would go to say them. But anyway, keep going down the AFC. Jaguars.
They're just,
we've met
the
Chiefs.
Chiefs. I mean, we kind of talked about them.
I would still say right now, if you said, Justin, you got to bet on a team to win the division or conference, I'm betting the Chiefs.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, because the thing is, don't they have a pretty easy strength of schedule?
Yes, the Chiefs are likely going to win out. I'll pull their schedule up.
So
right now.
that's the thing is
I think the Broncos might come back.
Okay, but Jesus Christ,
the Chiefs end the year with the Raiders on Christmas. Is Christmas next Monday? Yeah. Oh wait, no, sorry. They play the Patriots this weekend.
Yeah, Patriots.
Then they play the Chiefs on Christmas. They play the Bengals at home, and then they end the year with the Chargers team that won't have Justin Herbert. And we'll be playing for nothing.
With football, I mean, with football especially, it's not like other sports where you can have a series where you kind of got to get you can risk losing 1, maybe 2 games and kind of get into your own. You can get into that rhythm in the playoffs, whatever. It's win and you're in, lose and you're out. That's it. And I think for the Chiefs, especially what happened last year, that people forget they were kind of shaky a bit last year too at certain points. Not to this degree, but they got good right at the end of the season. And having that momentum going into the playoffs is really, really important for teams because the same thing happened with the Eagles last year. They were dominating in games, but then they kind of went on a little bit of a skid, nothing too crazy. But then those last couple of games, they dominated.
Well, that's because Hurts came back.
That's because Hurts came. No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's Hurts came back. They were all right, we are good. Yep. Our guy is back. We're going to be going to the playoffs. We're all going to be healthy. You carry that momentum in. So I think you're right in saying that if the Chiefs are able to just completely win out and just go on a tear at the end of this regular season, I think they have a really good shot at winning this
think the path for the Chiefs is still very much alive. You get the 2nd seed. I think they will get the 2nd seed. And then all you need is the Ravens to lose in the 2nd round, which is very possible. Then you're hosting the 4th or 5th seed in the AFC, which I don't think is very good. And I think the Chiefs just go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They're still a really good team. Their defense is legit. I think these 2 back-to-back losses, of course, it's everyone says we're going to get better from this, but I do think after 2 back-to-back losses, they're going to do some different things on offense.
Especially that they were very self-inflicted losses.
Yes.
They weren't they got blown out by 40. It was a dropped pass, and if a dude's a foot back, they win both.
Because again, we said we think the Lions, Bills, and Eagles are all good teams. Those were 3 games where 1 drop pass, not would have been a great catch pass, 3 regular NFL catches.
Yeah, either change that game or have them
or a dumb offsides call, and then they're 11-2. And if they were 11-2 right now,
they'd be the 1 seed.
They would, and we'd be saying that they're the best team in the league, even over the 49ers. I think because of the wins to the Eagles, Bills, and those type of wins.
Exactly.
So Chiefs are fine. Jaguars. I think
They're frisky.
they're frisky. Again, I think kind of like the Dolphins. I think them winning 3 straight games to get to the Super Bowl would be very challenging.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would,
especially with the health of Trevor Lawrence. Like his knee looks interesting. I mean, you're praying to God that
his ankle,
sorry, yeah, because he had the brace on his knee, but that threw me off. I think, I mean, that team lives and dies by Trevor Lawrence, like, and by how he plays. I don't think they have they've shown it at times, that like high end offensive talent, but I think they need a true number one receiver to really start to be in that conversation because, is it Marvin Jones? Or no, Zay Jones. Sorry. Zay Jones, Calvin Ridley.
and then Kirk hurt himself.
hurt himself. So it's just
that
like
sounds wrong. Kirk got hurt.
Yeah. But I don't know. Because if you look, because the Chiefs and the Jaguars both have the same record. The Chiefs, I think, dog walk the Jags. Like, they are not at the same
I don't
level.
think the Chiefs are at all concerned about playing the Jaguars in the playoffs.
No, that's what I'm like thinking. It's like because like they're tied right now. I think Chiefs have like a tiebreaker or something, whatever. But
no, the Chiefs beat the Jaguars this year.
Oh, they had them. But it's just like I don't know. I just don't, because again, I could see the Jags randomly pulling a win out of their ass. I could totally see that happening because they did last year.
I could see them getting to the AFC Championship game if they play again.
Yeah, if they play the
like, Browns,
that I think is their ceiling.
Browns at home in round 1, Ravens on the road in round 2.
Yeah,
but then I really think they're going to get past? But again, they could get to the Super Bowl if something breaks, like the Dolphins beat the Chiefs somehow, and then now it's Jaguars Dolphins in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
I might pick the Jaguars in that game, but again, low room for error. I really do think, and I'll fly through some of the rest of these teams, I think the path goes through Baltimore and Kansas City. But
because these last 3 wild cards.
Let's go round down real quick. Browns, cool team. Do we really think Joe Flacco and company is going to be
It'd be sick.
It'd be awesome.
It would be
and I'm very happy for Joe Flacco.
Yeah, so happy for him. Absolutely hilarious that I think he has like the 3rd most wins in that stadium too, and he's only played there like a couple weeks.
That's horrible.
Absolutely hilarious. But I mean, these like last 3 teams, like Browns, Steelers, Colts, like Steelers are the biggest frauds in the league. They should not even be 7-6.
I would say the team you don't want to see out of those is the Colts.
100% the Colts,
because they've had these good wins. They've been together. There's been no controversy over in Indianapolis. Their coaching is very well on offense. They're great coaching on offense.
They seem like they have great chemistry with each other. Like that could be one of those upsets.
JT's currently out. He will be back soon.
He will be back. Like I think, like Browns, I could see them pulling out a win in the wild card round just because of their defense. Colts, I could see them just like coming out of nowhere.
They could be an AFC Championship team. I think.
I think you're right. I think both of their ceilings, I think, are AFC Championship. Beyond that, I don't think they're going anywhere.
Now you think we've listed a lot of teams, which we have. But there's still a lot of other teams that are 7-6, like the Texans, the Broncos, the Bengals, and the Bills. And I will say, I am not a Bills believer. But I have not been in the past.
But
however, if I am ranking teams and how likely I think they are to get to the Super Bowl, it is 1, the Chiefs, 2, the Ravens, and 3, I'm putting the Buffalo Bills.
I can see
that. Because they have the high end.
Because they have, again, they get in. I could see them. If you're telling me I have the Dolphins and the Bills first round of the playoff, I'm straight up taking the Bills.
Yeah.
If the Ravens, Bills, I'm likely straight up taking the Bills.
Yeah. Because, like, I mean, again, like, because the Bills are finally starting to click, and I think that's what they needed.
Now,
that win over the Chiefs, I think, was really important for them going forward.
Now, listen, they have a horrible path to get there. They're currently
they're
currently lowest on the totem pole to get into the playoffs. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So currently they are behind the Texans, Broncos, and Bengals to get that last spot. They're going to need a lot of help.
But there's a shot.
They need to win out, and they've got a tough game coming with the Cowboys. But again, I do think if this team can get in, it's a team that nobody wants to see.
No.
And it's even the Chiefs who have beaten the Bills before the playoffs. I think the Chiefs don't want to see the Bills in the first round of the playoffs.
Because they're just one of those teams where, like, now that they added, like, James Cook is, like, that out of the backfield, like, pass-catching running back, like, their offensive weapons, when they are firing on all cylinders, when Stephon Diggs, when Gabe Davis, when whoever their number 10 receiver is now, I forget what his name is, but he's been doing a really good job. He's like a rookie this year. whenever those guys are humming and Josh Allen is using his legs to stretch
Josh
the defense,
Allen has been playing fantastic football.
He has.
Since that Eagles game,
Yes.
he's been playing great football.
He has. And I think you're absolutely right. I think if they manage to, find their way like backdoor into the playoffs, they could definitely be one of those teams that play spoiler.
Yep.
100%.
If you guys were ranking the top 3 or 4 contenders in the AFC, like if you had to put your money on them to win, where would you go with that?
Ravens, Chiefs, Bills.
In that order?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Dolphins.
Okay.
I would personally go Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Jaguars, reluctantly at 4.
So I think I'm going Ravens, Chiefs, Jags, and right now I will say Colts because they are currently in the playoffs. I think if the Bills end up making the playoffs, I would then go Ravens, Chiefs, Bills.
Yeah, the only reason I'm putting the Bills
Jags.
at 3 is because I think it's the Chiefs and Ravens to lose if the Bills don't get in.
Yeah.
Like I just don't see a path for a lot of these teams.
Well, because I mean, the good thing for the Bills, at least, is the Steelers will fall out of the playoffs because they are not going to win any more games.
And I mean, I know why you guys put the Ravens number 1. Their path's so much easier. They would have to have a rough go at things to lose the 1 seed.
Yeah,
And
I think they've done enough to like just truly secure it as long as they win out.
Yep.
Which I think they can.
Yep. 100%.
Yep.
Moving to the NFC,
A lot simpler
There's 3 teams
that are good,
who we actually think can go to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Out of that,
and they are kind of in order.
Yeah. So okay, at the top, 49ers. I think everybody,
Yes.
everybody in the NFL can agree on one thing: is the 49ers are the best team in football.
Yep.
And it is their Super Bowl to lose.
Yep, 100%.
They have the best players.
Yep.
And their quarterback, who's the biggest question mark on the team,
Is playing
is playing good football.
Yep.
Mhm.
And he is probably right on the top 10 of quarterback play this year currently. And that puts him at number 1. Number 2, I think everyone would say, is the Cowboys. They straight up beat the Eagles, destroyed the Eagles in the past week. And well, they've got some like worse losses on their record.
Yeah.
I still think they have
They're trending in the right track.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
it's just like I hate to say it. This is their year if they're gonna go to try to win
if there's a
Super
year,
Bowl.
it's this year for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then,
'Cause there's no one really else ahead of them.
but now we'll do the Eagles topic,
Oh boy.
which I know Raj was waiting for.
Well,
So-
because for those that have been listening to the podcast, right when we took our break for finals was right after the Eagles lost to the 49ers.
yes.
And then that next week,
we got walked over by the 49ers and proceeded to get stomped on by the Cowboys.
yeah. So you guys went from, what was it? It was
10 and
10
2,
We went from
10
we are so back
10
to
and 1 to 10 and 3.
Yeah, 10-1 to 10-3.
Yep.
Which I would like to say something first of all. Please stop crying. You're 10-3.
Raj, give us the current vibe checks on the Eagles.
Season's over.
Scrap the team.
Sorry, say it again.
Scrap the team. Season's over. Sell the team. I'm done. Fire everyone. Trade Hurts. It's over. Rebuild.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's the most sane Eagles fan right there.
Yep. So I think with the Eagles, there's a couple things going on. Number 1, I think people are not valuing the role that the coordinators have lost. People love to dog on Jonathan Gannon last year. Can we maybe acknowledge for a second that the defense that we're playing this year is a very similar defense with the same personnel,
And it's
and they're
somehow
substantially
worse.
worse
Yeah.
because we lost our defensive coordinator, who everyone thinks sucks, but somehow got a head coaching job. Like there's a reason Jonathan Gannon got a head coaching job.
Yeah.
And it was because he performed well with the defensive personnel that the Eagles had.
Yeah.
Now they lose that person, and the team looks Slay and Bradbury are the same exact cornerbacks that we had last year,
And they're worse.
and they're worse,
Yeah.
both of them.
Yeah.
No play Slay is being put on a garbage bin outside the
Yeah.
Eagles facility. James Bradbury looks like completely cooked, which they could have gotten worse in the offseason, but not that much worse.
Mhm.
We lost Javon Hargrave, replaced him with Jalen Carter.
Yeah, which is
Wash.
like,
Jordan
yeah.
Davis should have gotten better in the offseason.
Yeah.
I know he got better because he's playing more snaps this year.
Mhm.
Our linebacker core
is
awful, but
Yeah.
our linebacker core wasn't like Jesus Christ himself last year.
yeah.
And then our safeties are a little bit weaker, but we also traded for Kevin Byard,
Yeah.
who is a decent safety. So I think our defense, if you look at personnel, I think you could consider this defense this year is rated as highly.
Like I think you genuinely have like you didn't like. Okay, at this point in the season, right now, where you're at,
Yeah.
obviously there were certain points in the season where the defense literally was not as good as it was last year, but you were winning games. But then now it's getting to the point where it's like, look, you have like Jalen Carter. I'd argue is better than Javon Hargrave.
I would make that argument too. Yeah.
Yes. Kevin Byard was an All-Pro safety out of the Titans,
And he's better than what we had.
he's better than what you had last year.
Well, we had Sidney Gardner-Johnson last year.
Yeah, so he was also very good. But then you just added Shaq Leonard to that linebacking core. These are great players. Like, yes, you lost some guys, but you're adding incredible, legitimate all-pro talent to this roster, and it's worse.
Yep.
Like, that's coaching.
And now Shaq Leonard, I'll give him some passes. It was his first game, but this is why I'm a little frustrated with the Eagles on the coaching front. Is just because I don't think anyone thinks the secondary and the defensive personnel is great, but nobody thought it was great last year either.
No.
The Eagles' stick has been our linebackers aren't going to be great, our safeties aren't going to be great, and sure they've been hit by some injuries,
but our pass rush is going to be amazing.
It's all these football focused stats coming out. Darius Slay doesn't give up anything in coverage. James Bradbury is actually better than people think he is, and all this stuff. And the team isn't producing. So, and I wanted to point to that for Jonathan Gannon, because again, I think people are like memeing Jonathan Gannon for all of his stuff in the Cardinals and how the Eagles play defense in the Super Bowl. I would just like to remind people that he got the head coaching job for a reason.
Yeah.
And now the Eagles team, which defense is very similar to what it was last year, is now substantially worse, one of the worst defenses in the league. Number 2, losing Shane Steichen on offense. The Colts were nobody thought the Colts would be in the playoff hunt this year.
Yeah.
They've been playing great football. They lost their star QB.
Yeah.
They drafted number 1 overall. The whole reason that they built the team around this, Shane Steichen came with a running quarterback who has some trouble passing the ball downfield. Exactly like Jalen Hurts. Loses him. Gardner Minshew comes in. They're 7-6. Colts overachieving on offense. The Eagles not achieving well on offense. They look horrible. Now, some of that's self-inflicted. Last game against the Cowboys, they're moving the ball completely fine all game. Jalen Hurts fumble, Devontae Smith fumble, AJ Brown fumble.
Yeah, that's the
And
big
we
three
lose the game.
fumbling. Yeah, like
You can't do that.
Yeah.
But also, there needs to be some better play calling there. We need to stop taking downfield shots on 3rd and 5 and things like that. And
just
that's
stupid plays like
where
that.
I go, Shane Steichen, he's having really good success.
Yep.
The Eagles are not right now on offense. And that's where I think the coaching is really affecting them. Now, I think it's solvable. There's some weeks left to go. They kind of had a really tough schedule. Everyone said they went 4-2 in the last 6 games or whatever it was. The Eagles are fine. They went that. They only lost 2 of those games. So they beat the Bills. They beat the Chiefs. They lost the Cowboys and 49ers. And then there's another game that was big before that.
Bills.
No, I said Bills.
Oh,
But so they're by no means
Fins?
is it time to press the panic button on the Eagles.
No,
But-
Raj, please stop panicking for the love of God.
But there's a reason to have the hand over the panic button
Fair.
and to say the Eagles are the 3rd best team in the NFC.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very fair statement.
Yep.
But I also think it's a fair statement to say they're the 3rd best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because I'm not confident the Ravens and the Chiefs are better than them at the moment.
Yeah.
So I need to see the improvement out of the Eagles. They've been saying constantly week in and week out, because we've had a lot of bad wins this year, that, we know we need to get together. We know where we need to improve. Now I want to see it. Stop fumbling the ball. It's sloppy play.
Yeah.
Start being smarter on your drives.
Yeah.
Play like a team that's supposed to be coordinated together. Like Nick Sirianni, if you need to call, I don't know, the whole play calling breakdown, whoever change something with the offense. Get other let your veterans kind of call plays a little bit, figure out things out.
Well, there was that one clip of Jason Kelsey telling Jalen Hurts no, we're not changing the play, we're running this, and then it ends up being a 10-yard gain or something.
Yep.
Let them cook.
Let them get into their thing. Now they have a big game against Seattle. It
shouldn't be a big game.
They haven't won 15 games in Seattle. Seattle's meddling. If the Eagles lose that game, I'm pressing the panic button officially. That I will officially come on here and be like, the Eagles have no chance to win the Super Bowl, because you can't lose 2 games in dominating fashion and then win and then lose a game to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
But I'm going to reserve my panic for right now. But people need to play better, and I think Jalen Hurts deserves a lot of blame. I said on the podcast that I was nervous about his contract because he had one good year, and that year was an MVP year. But he had one good year, and we paid him a lot of money.
Yep.
And this year, when you lose the offensive coordinator and they expect a little bit more out of you, your standard is not up. For example, Patrick Mahomes lost offensive coordinator. He's not playing as well, but he's not making as many foolish mistakes as someone like Jalen Hurts is, which I wouldn't expect him. He's not Patrick Mahomes, but he's fumbled in every game since like the Jets game or something. He's fumbled the football.
Was it during the Cowboys or the 49ers game where he like just like stood there? And
that was the
like,
49ers game where he dropped back, was looking for guys, which again, receivers might not be open. There was a whole controversy coming out about our pass concepts and our route running concepts. And someone was like, guys, these are horrible. Like they're not getting open, which that might be a problem. But as the quarterback of the team,
you can't just
throw the ball away.
Yeah,
you gotta get rid of the ball. That's,
like you're trying to do too much.
Yes,
like I understand. Like in that situation, it's like okay, you want to press the ball on the field, you want to throw it, but it's like, dude, like if you're standing there for 4 or 5 seconds, you just got to roll out to like right or your left, just start moving somewhere, and just either throw the ball. Like either somebody's going to get open or you throw it out of bounds.
Yep.
Because like you can't risk taking a sack in that area because I think they had to punt after that, or they forced a field goal or something.
Yeah.
But like it's just you can't have that happen. And like obviously I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to be that guy. He's trying to like put the team on his back and really carry that offense. But like there's certain times where it's like you just got to bite the bullet, man. You just got to like bite the bullet, throw it out of bounds, take what you can get, because you can't take a 15-yard sack after falling over your shoelaces. Like that just can't happen.
But 2 embarrassments back to back. If there's anything that's going to spark the team to start making changes that'd be beneficial, it'll be that. If they win out, they will be the 2nd seed. I think that favors really well because the Cowboys are going to probably have to play at the 49ers. If everything goes the same, it would be like Eagles, Lions versus 49ers, Cowboys because of the reseeding.
Yeah.
And I think the 49ers would beat the Cowboys, and then the Eagles would probably beat the Lions, and they'd be in the NFC Championship game. And no matter what you say, if you win the Super Bowl, if you went to the Super Bowl the one year, usually there's a lull. If you go back to the NFC Championship game, that's not a lost season.
Yeah.
And then you're right there. If you win that game, you're back in the Super Bowl. So very much alive, but the Eagles do need to win. They need to win out. They have a clear objective. You win out, you win the division, which is a big deal in and of itself, and then you're the 2nd seed.
Yeah.
And that's all you have to do and all you have to focus on right now. So I think the Eagles need to show everyone that they should be feared right now.
Exactly.
And the 49ers can't give that up.
No.
And then going to the Cowboys, I think they look like a good team. I just don't think they can beat the 49ers.
Yeah, that's really about it. Like, I think they have the potential to. I don't think they will.
I think the Cowboys can win the Super Bowl if the 49ers didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like, I would put money on it right now the Cowboys would win the Super Bowl, but I think there's almost a 0% chance they get through the 49ers. I've just seen...
They just have their number.
I've just seen it. Like, they got destroyed in the playoffs last year by them.
Yep.
They got destroyed in the regular season by them. And even the defense... The Eagles marched on the Cowboys defense most of the game. It was the turnovers that
killed them. Yeah.
Like if you take away some of the Eagles' mistakes, which of course it's going to happen, like the Eagles could have easily put up another 20 points on that offense. It would have been like a 30-point showing by the Eagles offense on that defense. So I don't think the defense is all that. Then I have to see what a Dak and McCarthy offense looks like in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Well, we know what it looks like. We saw it.
Yeah, we saw it after they got dog walked by the 49ers. And then Lions.
Nah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, I think with the Lions, like
people drank the Kool-Aid way too early.
they did.
Yeah. They're still they have like 1 or 2 more years before they're really good.
I mean,
They got potential.
lost to the Bears, which the Bears are better, but like recently,
Bad loss.
but not a good loss. They barely escaped that game against the
Well, the Bears the first time.
the week before. Yeah, barely escaped the Bears, lost to the Packers.
Yeah.
Barely beat.
I don't remember.
I forgot what team that was. They barely beat another team, and then they lost to the Bears.
Yeah, I think they're coming down from their peak,
Yep.
and you're kind of starting to see like, all right, teams are starting to figure them out.
Yep. And they got the
And
Broncos upcoming too, which is a huge game.
That's
Lions
a hu-
Broncos is a huge game coming up
that
this
is
weekend.
that is a huge game for both those teams.
Vikings. After the Vikings put up 3 points on the Raiders defense, I
They're
don't wanna-
cooked.
They're
I don't want to
yeah.
hear anything about the Vikings. Josh Dobbs, who was astronaut for 2 weeks,
Yeah,
Cooked.
is
no,
being replaced by Nick Mullins.
yeah,
And-
their season's over.
And then we can talk about the NFC.
Justin Jefferson out again?
Yeah, but he should be back though for
Cooked.
this game. Which brings the whole controversy of putting your receivers in bad positions, but we'll
Whatever.
move on from that. And then we'll talk about the NFC South because again, in this division, the Buccaneers, of course, beat the Falcons because why could it be simple to get a winner of that division? Now the Bucs are 6-7, the Saints are 6-7, the Falcons are 6-7.
And the Panthers are irrelevant.
Yep. And the Falcons are playing the Panthers, so they're going to win this week. And then the Bucs play like the Packers, and The Saints play the Giants, so who knows what will happen with that division.
It's just
I guess I'd say maybe the Saints win it, but who knows? But no, none of those teams are going to win Super Bowl. And I think the biggest sleeper right there is the Rams.
Yeah, definitely. The Rams are definitely one of those teams that like you don't want to see in the playoffs. If they end up making it, like just because they can randomly turn on like an incredible offense with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
And who's their
Kyron Williams.
Kyron Williams.
Dog.
Yeah. Those three, when they start like firing on all cylinders, Matt Stafford gets on the ball, like distributes it. Like they can be really, really scary.
Mm-hmm.
And their defense, like, is pretty solid. I mean,
you just look at personnel, right? Look at the division. 49ers, Eagles, Cowboys, we talked about top of the division.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the Rams could easily, in my opinion, be the fourth best team in the conference just because there's not that much talent.
There isn't. There really is not. I mean, I would still say the Lions are above them, but
I would probably still say that Lions are above them right now,
but that could be changed.
And they could beat them outright in the matchup.
They outright could. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just like this conference is so unbelievably top heavy that it's like these last couple teams that are like going to squeak into the playoffs. It's like it. Like, yeah, you look at like the Seahawks, you look at the Bucks. I mean, well, Bucks actually will just outright.
A great example of this is the Packers, right? Packers beat the Chiefs.
And
we're all like, oh my gosh, they're Packers, the Packers time and everything like that, and they lose on Monday Night Football to the Giants.
The Tommy DeVito,
Like,
Tommy DeVito.
This is why you can't believe the NFC.
Yeah,
because teams consistently lose big games. Like the Falcons had to go beat the Buccaneers, and they would have been 7-7. Would have been leading that division. They had a game up against Panthers. It would have been 8-7. It's like, okay, now they've finally gotten a hold on the. Nope, they lost. Yeah, and that's what's been going on. And down here, we have the Giants and the Bears looking in the background. I swear, I will cancel the podcast, and I will delete the page. We'll never see another episode.
The Bears or the Giants make
the playoffs,
dude.
That would be awful. That would be such an indictment on the NFC
being just trash.
At the bottom for the Giants, and the Giants are on their third string quarterback.
Yeah,
and as you got in the cold open, run by Tommy DeVito and his mafia agent.
Yeah,
and then the Bears lost Justin Fields for part of the year.
Came back.
Now they're kind of playing better. 5-8. Like, there's no reason 5-8 football teams should be alive for the playoffs.
No,
there are like 20 teams in the AFC that are 7-6.
Yeah,
So the 5-8 teams have no chance to get in. The 5-8 teams are like very much alive. The Packers are 6-7 on the outside looking at, like, the Saints are like
6-7. They're all 6-7.
The Seahawks hold a playoff spot.
Yeah,
they are 6-7.
Yeah,
that's
not okay.
Sense.
It's not okay. It's the NFC teams are just letting trash into the playoffs.
Okay.
Oh my god.
If the Giants win this weekend, this will be the last thing we end on. If the Giants win this weekend, the Packers lose, the Rams lose, they're in.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks lose, they're in. They're straight up holding a playoff spot or tied for the playoff spot.
Yeah, like after the obviously that they wouldn't clinch, but like they would be currently
they would be actively in, and it could come on the backs of a Week 17 game against the Eagles that does not matter.
Which is the insane part is that right now the Giants sit at like a 2% chance to make the playoffs. But if you look at the games that like they need to like win, lose, and then what teams need to win and lose, they have a legit chance at making the playoffs.
Alive.
It's very alive. Like, obviously the Giants need to win out, which I honestly, I think that Tommy DeVito is going to come back down to earth against the Saints here. I don't think they're going to win, but I mean,
but would we be shocked if they beat the Saints?
I wouldn't be
because they're 6-7.
Because they're 6-7 and they're not that good. So it's like, because the Giants defense has been playing out of their mind these past couple games, and it's just like, and Tommy DeVito just doesn't make stupid mistakes and just like distributes the ball. I think Darren Waller's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're adding more weapons. They're actually getting it to like all of their receivers now. And I think it is like a night and day difference for the New York Giants as to like, I don't know what was going on at the beginning of the season, but they just like, they were falling apart.
Yeah.
And I mean, hell, at this point, keep the kid in. All right. I know we just paid Daniel Jones however much money. I still think Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than Tommy DeVito. But I mean, Tommy DeVito has like that Taylor Heineke energy where like he's not the greatest quarterback, but he just wins. Like,
Yeah, and
He
he
just
does,
does.
and the team's happy with him, and that's what matters.
there's a culture there now. Obviously, like the whole Italian thing, which I absolutely love because growing up in North Jersey, those were my friends as Giants fans. Like
Those are your friends. Okay, I need to talk to your friends.
yeah. Well, like yeah.
I don't think you want to talk to his friends.
Well,
Ugh.
yeah, I got a couple of those very Italian friends, but like I absolutely love it. I think it's hilarious, and I think the Giants are back to being that fun meme team out of nowhere,
Which is better than what you were to start the year.
which was just garbage. Yeah, it was just absolute trash. I think because they will come back down to earth, and I do hate that everybody loves saying, "Oh, they should have tanked. They should have tanked. They should have tanked." I understand that, but at this point, the Giants also need to build a culture again because
if you make the playoffs, who
yeah,
cares if you didn't tank?
Yeah.
You're gonna get a playoff game, which Giants are a big franchise. You're gonna get a playoff game against potentially the Eagles
yeah,
with Tommy DeVito, who's already gotten so many clicks. Like that does so much more for your franchise. Like you
Yeah.
make if the worst thing the Giants can do is keep winning and then barely miss the playoffs, and then they lose
and
their draft pick.
even then, it's like it's not terrible because if
Yes.
they're in the fight because if they just lose out the rest of the year, yeah, that blows.
Yeah,
But if they are like fighting their way and like they just barely missed the playoffs, it's like, yeah, this blows for like this next year. We didn't get a good draft pick, but it shows a lot of fight and resolve in that franchise
yeah.
that I think that it hasn't been there for 10 years. And like, I think that's really good to kind of just be in the building where it's like, yeah, we might not be the best team in the league. We're definitely not
And
the
you know
best
what?
team.
When you got to go get players and you in your day ball and you said, "Hey, I made the playoffs last year when no one thought we could make the playoffs," and then this year we had our third string quarterback and we
Yeah.
marched all the way back in and got into the playoffs.
Like,
That means a lot.
that means a ton for the culture of the team.
So-
and like,
So
yeah,
here's the situation for the
Yeah.
Giants. They need to. They're 5-8.
yeah, they need to win out.
They need to get 8-9. Get to 8-9.
Yeah.
They need to split with the Eagles, which I would say they're not going to split with the Eagles, except for if the Cowboys lose a game and the Eagles win their next three, they can just lose to the Giants and be okay.
Yeah.
So they might not need to play that last game, and
Mhm.
the Giants will just go win it.
Yeah.
Because it matters more.
So
to them.
they legitimately could split.
Yeah, and I can promise you, if the Giants win that game, they would be the last seed in. The Eagles would want to play the Giants.
Yeah.
in the
Yes.
first round.
So
they'd
then it's
stomp
like they
them.
would try to tank them. Yeah.
So and then they need to beat the Saints this weekend,
Mhm.
which they're underdogs, but I think the Saints. I think they can beat the Saints.
I
The
think they
Saints
got a shot.
are not a great football team. Then they play the Eagles. They will lose on Christmas to the Eagles.
They will. Yeah.
And then they play the Rams at home. Now I think the Rams are a better team. I think the Rams will be favored.
100%.
The Rams are also 6-7.
Mhm.
And they can win.
They
that game.
also have had bad games in the past.
I would
And
say there's a
Eagles
40
might tank that last game.
I would say the Giants have a 40% chance of beating the Saints, and they have a 30% chance of beating the Rams.
But there's a chance.
But there's a chance,
Yeah.
and they beat those two teams. And then the Eagles, if the Eagles win out, now the worst thing for the Giants would be if the Eagles lose against the Seahawks and then have to play that.
Then have to play that week 18
Yeah.
game.
Well, yeah, play the week 18 game hard. But
Yeah.
the Giants are alive. They could use some
Which
other-
is insane to think about if you look back at the beginning of the season where, I mean, hell, you could look back at the last episode of the podcast where I screamed to stop airing Giants games because
we want to see them now.
now we want to see them because now the Giants are alive. and
I have investment in watching the Saints.
it's
versus-
entertaining.
Saints versus Giants, which is crazy because we've said for weeks to stop airing the games.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun being a Giants fan again because, like, look, at this point, I know they're not going to.
Did you rip the contract up?
Did I rip
No,
the
we did
contract?
not.
I don't even know what contract we've been on at this point. Like, again, I've meme that so much, but like, I will always be a Giants fan. I always joke about like, oh, I'm signing the bet. Whatever. I'm a Giants fan through and through. But like, it's fun. It's fun being like, it's like they're just like a feisty team. Like they just like they could win. They might not because they're not that good. But
A team that the Giants are going to have to face, and we'll end on this. A team that the Giants are going to have to face for that playoff positioning is the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Seahawks have Eagles, Titans, Steelers as their next three. They could very easily lose two of those to the Steelers and the Eagles, and then the Titans game could be a toss-up.
I would argue that the Titans game could be a loss,
Harder
and the
than
Steelers
yeah.
would be a toss.
Kenny Pickett could be back that 31st week.
could
though.
be.
Oh, thank God.
So, and then they end with the Cardinals, which again, the Cardinals, who knows?
They could just play spoiler.
Yeah, I mean, they have nothing to lose. They're going to be they don't have the number one pick. They're not going to get the number one pick.
Yeah, so they're probably going to be essentially locked into their draft pick, basically, no matter what happens.
Yeah. So I think the Seahawks are staring at 2 losses,
Yeah.
potentially 3. They lose 3 games,
They're out.
they're out, and
Yep.
that's a position that the Giants need. So
Yeah.
After saying for the whole season to stop airing Giants games,
Put them back on.
Put them back on. We're back.
Because guess what? The second we actually want these Giants games to be back on, they're going to lose horribly.
We're gonna come back here.
We're going to regret this.
We're gonna
so
come back
much.
after this and say on the next time we record, please don't air Giants because they're gonna get blown out
It's
by
gonna
the
be-
Saints on TV.
Okay. Whenever this comes out, and then you're watching the next podcast, when we open with a cold open of Tommy burnt the cutlets,
Oh my
you
god.
know that I said it here. I pray to God I don't do that, but it probably will happen.
Well, folks, that was an hour and 35 minutes of
There we go.
commercial-free
God
podcasting.
damn.
It was a great episode.
I would love if there were commercials.
Yeah. They know. And then cover some big topics in the NBA, NFL. It'll be a fun week of football, as it always is, and chaotic. Hopefully nothing else happens in the NBA.
Oh yeah. Also, side
It's gonna
note:
happen.
Shohei Ohtani signed a $700
He
million
did. We
contract.
didn't even talk about that. Get
Juan
your,
Soto to the
get
Yankees.
your bag, kid. $2 million a year and then a $680 direct deposit.
Yep.
Sounds real nice.
Sounds sick to me.
That's called tax evasion, folks. All right. This has been the Coconut Curry Podcast, and we will see you next time.
I have a final at 9 a.m.